dear listeners, to the WIP show brought to you by Keemiya Creatives, where we dive deep into the world of writing and creativity. I'm Namrata, your host and the founder of Keemiya Creatives. WIP, you may ask, well, it stands for Writing in Progress, and that's exactly what we are all about here. Each week, we bring you inspiring conversations with talented writers, delving into their journeys, their challenges, and the stories behind their stories. From seasoned authors to aspiring wordsmiths, we explore the nooks and crannies of the writing process. Whether it's overcoming writer's block, finding inspiration in the unlikeliest of places, or simply navigating the wild, wonderful world of words, we are here for it all. So grab your favorite writing mug, settle into your coziest writing nook, and join us as we celebrate the beauty and the chaos of the writing life. Our guest today is a young writer from Gujarat, Neerja Bhatt. Neerja was born and raised in Ahmedabad, the Indian city of food and fervor. Born into a creative family where artistic expression was always encouraged, she has been attached with the art of storytelling and writing since the tender age of 6 and has written several stories and poetry since then. She has been secretive of her writing, but always felt proud whenever the teacher read her work to the class. You can find the last page of every notebook that Neerja owns covered in her signatures, as she feels that a perfect signature is a must have for authors. In her free time, you can find her reading, playing the piano, or sleeping and dreaming of compelling stories that can later be cooked into sizzling novels. Hello, Neerja. Welcome to the WIP show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So, our first question today is about your Bad Era Duology, which is a fantasy novel. So, what inspired to write in this genre?
Okay, so to give some context, I got the idea for the Bad Era Duology when I was 12 amidst the COVID-19 lockdown. And I was thinking of how the pandemic was like karma coming back at us for all our inhuman doings like climate change and exponentially increasing crime rates. I realized that this was the bad era and that we were living in it. And before I knew it, I was filling up rough books trying to elaborate the idea into two full-length novels. Coming to why I chose the fantasy genre, I think there are a couple of reasons why I made that choice. Firstly, there's just tremendous scope to go wild with your imagination. Like that, as a writer, you can do possibly nothing wrong when you're writing fantasy. The world is yours. You are creating it from scratch, and you're just like painting the blank canvas of your Word document with characters that might not necessarily be like what all of us are in real life. Having said that, of course, there is a thin line between making the books unique and unrealistic. And while it can be a challenge to avoid the latter, I think fantasy in general gave me a lot of freedom to just explore. Since I was never professionally trained to write novels, I wanted to ensure that whatever I wrote brought me joy, and I wanted to steer clear from hardcore research and fact checking, especially for my first book. Another reason why I subconsciously chose fantasy was because it's an escape. Like, fantasy is the best way to break free from reality. And considering the rather tumultuous times we were all living in back in 2020, I think it was my escape and my solace for whenever I felt too bored at home or missed my friends too much.
I have been reading the first part, and I must say I'm very, very, very much enjoying this. So, and I was curious to understand what has been your the way you've made the world building for this both the books, part one and part two. How did you create the fantastical elements and develop the setting for your story?
So the world building process is possibly the most important for a genre like fantasy, wherein you are writing about a world that nobody really knows about. So you need to make extra sure that the world building is interactive yet not overwhelming for readers who are reading about it for the first time. So I
True.
spent about 5 to 6 months in the plotting process where I made the Bad Era world alive in my head first before putting it on paper, and this actually made the writing process a whole lot more like a whole lot quicker and easier, as I had a good idea what I was working towards and I could visualize the elements in my head while I was writing it. So unfortunately, I don't remember how I got a lot of the ideas because most of them came in the form of a brainwave. And I think when you think about a story for most like half of the day, like ideas start coming when you least expect them to. For instance, I remember being in a conversation with my brother about something completely different when the idea of clouds being used as messengers, that idea like sort of struck me. So it was very random. The method that I used for world building in general, however, was asking myself different questions about the world and then trying to formulate answers to them. I have books filled up of such question and answer sessions I had with myself in effort to gauge a better understanding of the world and not let any details slip by me. Like, for instance, I would ask questions like, how would the people in the world be living? What would they use to commute? And that really helped me get a better grip on the story and made the books into a lot more of something that I would enjoy reading more than anybody else. So yeah, it also gave birth to signature book elements like the Wheel of Life or the Jet Looper, which you can read more about when you read the books.
Sure. So you hand wrote all the books before you actually typed them out on a computer or a laptop, or you planned
No, no, no.
that's
So I have a box in my room wherein I have like no I made notes by hand. So I made like a note like backstories and like particular scenes that I wanted to include. I wrote all of that by hand, but eventually it was all typed.
it's very impressive actually. It's really very impressive. So you
Thank
mentioned that you've been attached to storytelling and writing since the age of 6. So can you share one of your earliest memories of writing and storytelling?
Sure. So the first ever complete story that I wrote was a fan fiction of the author series. I don't know if you've heard about it, but I used to love reading the author books as a 6-year-old, and I used to really look forward to issuing new books from the series whenever my mom would take me to a library in our neighborhood. So in one such book that I got, I saw the last few pages were full of attractive stickers of author, his sister, and his friend, like the main characters of the book. And looking at those stickers, I just got so tempted to use them, and I was inspired to write a story in which I could use them. So I created my own story called Arthur's Scary Night,
Wow.
and that was my first experience I had of writing a story. And I remember feeling so proud and overjoyed after having finished it. And I gave it to my parents, and they kept it safe for all these years.
That's actually very amazing. So you are a
I
teen
have it.
author.
I have the story here. In fact, if you'd like to see, I
Yes, please
found it.
share it.
So this is what
Oh
I.
wow.
So as you can see, there are a lot of stickers
Yeah,
because, as I said, that was my motivation for writing it. I wanted to use the stickers. So then I
this is very
stapled it and
impressive. This is actually very impressive. So, you're a teen author, Neerja. So, how do you balance your schoolwork with your writing projects? Can you share some tips for young writers who are trying to juggle their academic responsibilities with their passion for writing?
I think no matter what hobby you have, whether it's sports or music or any other art form, if you want to pursue it at greater depth, it's always going to be challenging to balance it with school. Similarly, I too found it difficult to give sufficient time to both school and writing, something that I had to do and something that I wanted to do. But I think you have to make sacrifices. I mean, I used to wake up at 5 in the morning to get some time to write before school, and that was a really big deal for someone like me who was used to waking up just 20 minutes before school started. And plus it was the lockdown time, so everybody was unusually lazy, so it was even more difficult in those times. Having said that, so I just want to tell like fellow young writers that if you really want to write about something, then you have to make time for it, because it's not enough to complain about like how you wish you had more hours in the day. I think you have to really do something about it. So whether it's staying late in the night or waking up early, just whatever works best for you to ensure you don't compromise on either your school or your hobby. So yeah, it's all about prioritizing at the end of the day. I mean, when you have exams coming up, writing needs to take a back seat, and when you have a vacation, then you can compromise on the make up for the lost time.
Right. You entered the world of publishing at a very young age. Has it influenced your personal and creative growth in any way?
I certainly think that publishing at a young age gave me a lot of insight into the industry. If someone asks me what the highlight of this entire 4 to 5 year long journey has been, I would definitely talk about my visit to Delhi last summer. I was fortunate enough to be invited to Delhi, which is the hub of the Indian publishing industry, to visit some of the country's best publishing houses and meet with their editors. And just having a story of my own to talk about with them was an incredibly exhilarating feeling that I will never forget. And I got to see the process that big publishing houses undertake to produce a book that we can buy and read. And this really deepened and piked my love and interest for the book world. So talking about my self-publishing journey, I think I did everything on my own with the support of my parents, like from formatting the books to uploading them on Amazon. I got to do everything firsthand, which was a wonderful experience and would even help me in the future if I choose to publish my next books through a traditional publisher because I would already know what goes behind the
Yeah.
scenes. And I think the process of self-publishing also, in a way, taught me to have unshakable faith in myself because a lot of people were against my decision of self-publishing because apparently it isn't the best way to reach a wider audience. And while it is true to an extent, I never published the Bad Era Duology to become a bestseller overnight. I mean, I would be really insane to even think that my first duology that I wrote as a teenager with hardly any experience or knowledge would make big ticket sales. So I did it just for the experience and fun of it. And to stand by my choice took a lot of self-belief, something that the publishing journey really incorporated in me.
I actually want to know, did you see a vast change in the difference of people around you after you became a published author? Did it impact positively, negatively? Was there any change?
I think I mean I remember when I first I made the announcement that I'm publishing my book. Like a lot of friends, like so-called friends, I had lost contact with. They suddenly like started messaging and calling. So in that sense, I think a lot of people like I got to like revive contact with a lot of people because seemingly like we had lost touch, but because of this, they like congratulated me and we got talking again. So that was a nice change.
That's interesting. It must have helped boost your confidence also to see the positive reviews and the feedback for your work.
Yeah, definitely. And doing like talks like this, it really helps me because I'm actually a very shy person. So this is boosting my
No, but I
morale.
admire your clarity. I must tell you that you actually have a lot of clarity when it comes to writing, when it comes to storytelling. So that's really very much
Thank
worth
you.
appreciating here. So what advice would you like to give to other teens who aspire to become published authors?
I think the most important thing would be to find a story that you would love writing about and not think about the publishing too much in the initial stages. I, for one, did not think about publishing until I had the first draft ready and I had also gone through a couple revisions on my own. And that was partly because I was not confident if I would ever have a manuscript ready, but also because when you think about publishing during the writing process, I think your writing becomes very subjective. You start thinking about you start writing for the readers rather than writing for yourself,
True.
and everything becomes about I should add this in the story, like X or Y person would like it, or I should remove this, like somebody would get offended. So over analyzing your writing in such a way can not only be self-reprimanding, it will also take out the fun out of writing. So my only advice would be to not force yourself to write about something you are hardly passionate about just to become a published teen author because trust me, that will bring no satisfaction. I mean, your debut book needs to be special, and just like the right idea found me after years of being desperate to write a book, you need to just trust that it will find you as well, like no matter what your age is.
That's a beautiful advice. It applies to me also. So I wouldn't say it just applies to teens who are aspiring. I think it applies to all writers, irrespective of their age, who are looking to get published or are working on their dream novel, because this is a pressure that many writers succumb to. That wanting to become the bestseller or writing something that people are loving right now in the same genre or in the
Yeah.
same manner. That pressure can sometimes just take away the beauty of the joy of writing a book.
So
So
instead of
let's
like dreaming about publishing a book, I think when you dream about writing a book, it
yeah.
just becomes a more enjoyable
And writing the
process. So
truest
that's what I
version
did.
of that story. Yeah, that's important. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. So we'll have some rapid fire questions for you, Neerja. So what is your favorite writing snack?
I can't eat while writing, it's too distracting.
Okay. So are you an early bird
I
or a
only
night
have
owl? Sorry.
early bird.
Okay.
No,
No,
I was
you.
just saying I only have like coffee or tea. I don't eat anything while writing.
Okay. That doesn't count as snacks. So yeah. So
Yeah.
is there a favorite writing spot that you have in your house
I think the desk I'm sitting at right now, I think that's where I wrote most of the books.
Okay. What do you enjoy reading and writing, fiction or non-fiction?
Definitely fiction.
Cats or dogs?
Cats, but I wouldn't pet either.
Okay. Favorite book
Yeah.
character?
It keeps changing. Currently, Robin Ellacott from the Strike series.
Wow. One thing you cannot write without.
A quiet room in which I'm alone.
Plotter or pantser?
Plotter.
So, any last thoughts that you would like to share? Anything about the next work that you would be working on? About what can be expected from you next after this duology?
So the second part just came out on 1st May. The ebook versions came out on 1st May. The printed versions are yet to come out. Apart from the duology, I don't think there's anything else I've been working on currently because I'm in my 12th grade at the moment, so that's keeping me pretty occupied. But I definitely want to write a lot of books in the future, and as I said, I might even consider like going down the traditional route of publishing, like through a publisher. So yeah, I have a lot of idea. Like I have a document in my laptop wherein I have like incomplete like plots, like ideas that I just get randomly, and I might turn them into novels one day. So yeah, I think I'll refer to that document soon in the future and then I'll write about something else. But right now, nothing.
Sure. Would you like to talk about your trip to Delhi that you spoke about? Like, how did you become a part of that tour to the publishers, and what was the whole experience about? And was it like a part of a student tour, an educational tour that you did? And
No, so it was actually we have a family friend who lives in Delhi, and so he helped me through, like he arranged a few visits for me and he took me to a few publishing houses just for me to get exposure and idea and to talk with the editors over there. It was not like a student tour or anything. I was the only one. I went with my mother. So yeah, we were the only two people.
okay, it must have been very exciting to see how a book is made so closely and
Yes,
get
it was.
understand.
As I said, it really deepened my interest for the book world, and I could really relate a lot better.
So that brings us to the end of this interview. It was wonderful talking with you, Neerja. Thank you so much. As I told you, I
Thank
love the
you.
clarity that you have, and I actually can't wait to see the next of your books. I'm already reading the part one because I wanted to start I to understand the part two better. So I'll definitely share my review also with you soon. I will be adding all
Sure,
the
that would be
links to
great.
your books in this YouTube description once this video goes on live. So viewers, if you happen to catch any of our books, please do leave a feedback for the writer because that's what they thrive on for. Thank you so much, Neerja.
Yeah, thank you.